Hey, what's going on people? It's SGZ here from the SpartanGameZone, and in this video we'll be talking about Borderlands 4's Endgame, because as we all know, that's where a Borderlands game truly begins. Before we crack into it, a big shout out to Rest Assured for allowing me to use his Borderlands 4 gameplay in this video. His links are in the description, so make sure to check him out for more Borderlands 4 content. Now, Gearbox have been keeping pretty tight-lipped when it comes to what awaits us after completing the main campaign. Tighter than spandex on a cyclist. But we can get a pretty good idea about what it's not going to be, and it's not going to be like anything we've had before. Now, that doesn't help much, but if you look at what Borderlands 4 is delivering already, the amount of enhancements I've made to the franchise, you'll realize that Borderlands 4's endgame will be much deeper than ever before. The core game of Borderlands 4 is introducing a seamless world with dynamic events, a non-linear story, a dedicated ordnance slot for grenades and heavy weapons, Moxxi's on-call machine for respawning bosses without save quit, rep kits, firmware with set bonuses, armor on our shields, enhancements, a new licensed part system, and of course our Vault Hunters in cutscenes, and there's many more that I've missed. I can guarantee that the end game will be overhauled just as much, if not more. And reading various articles that have come out over the last week or so, developers have stated that this time around, they've thought about the endgame pretty much from the beginning. They can't get into specifics, but it's pretty good. In another article, one of the developers had this to say: Graham Timmons, our creative director, is very bullish on endgame. Normally we talk about endgame later in development, and this time, from the beginning, it was like, how are we going to handle endgame? So clearly they have realized very early on the importance of an endgame in Borderlands 4. All of that suggests that Borderlands 4's endgame is cooking. But what is it? Is it a soup? A souffle? Well, we all know that the endgame of all Borderlands titles revolves around your build. Hunting the gear you need to make yourself stronger, with the goal of becoming the most powerful Vault Hunter you can be. It is here where I see a huge opportunity for Gearbox to shake up the endgame entirely, by not focusing on just increasing the power of our weapons or gear, but the power of our Vault Hunters themselves. With a level cap of 50 at launch and more skills than me or my grandma has ever seen, now is the perfect opportunity to reward us with skill points by completing endgame activities. Every single Borderlands game to date has at some moment in the game's lifecycle increased the level cap, giving us more skill points to play around with, which we could use to tune our builds further. And we all know Borderlands 4's build diversity is going to be crazy, so a few more skill points here and there will be welcome. However, there is a massive downside with increasing the level cap, and that is in the need to farm all of your gear again if you want them to be as powerful as they were before the level cap increased, which I can say is what the majority of us want and have had to do in the past. Level cap increases have never been a good thing, and I know a lot of players saw it as a sign to stop investing time in the game, and others didn't even start playing until the level cap was stable. So as a perfect solution to this, Gearbox can avoid the negatives of level cap increases and provide us with more build crafting opportunities by awarding us with skill points as part of the endgame. Imagine getting rewarded with an extra skill point to spend by completing an endgame activity. We have never had anything like that before, and I definitely think it's worth exploring. Of course, there needs to be a cap on the amount of skill points you can earn, and the rate at which you earn them can't be too high either. But I feel at the end of the day, this would expand what endgame can offer us as players, and I'm really interested to hear what you guys think, so feel free to let me know in the comments below. Why I think Borderlands 4's endgame is going to shake up massively compared to other games, and why skill points as a reward could make it in there, is because Borderlands and its spin-off Wonderlands has followed pretty much the same core endgame difficulty system since Borderlands 2 introduced OP levels later in its lifecycle. In the case of Borderlands 2, you battle through Digistrike Peak, which rewards you with an OP level on completion, and when playing on that new OP level, more powerful loot spawns and the enemies have more health. In Borderlands 3, that was Mayhem levels, which weren't progressed through an activity, you could simply turn them up or down. And with Wonderlands, we were back to an activity where you can run through the Chaos Chamber to gain Chaos levels, which again, on higher Chaos levels you were rewarded with a higher chance for more powerful loot, and of course the enemies were more difficult to kill. I'm just going to put it out there now that we will not see this repeat itself in Borderlands 4. The endgame won't have a global difficulty system as straightforward as these, and if anything will only serve as the foundation for the entire endgame to be built upon. From this screenshot of the matchmaking screen, we see the familiar words Ultimate Vault Hunter. I'm not calling it Ultimate Vault Hunter mode because it feels more like a matchmaking activity, much like Moxie's big encore runs beside it and the weekly wildcard. In previous games we had True Vault Hunter mode and Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel had both, Borderlands 3 and Borderlands 1 only had the former, and Wonderlands, well, that had neither. These modes essentially acted as a new game plus, where you'd play through the story missions again and optional side quests. The enemies would be tougher, mostly scaling to your level, and the loot would too. If you wanted to hit max level cap, you needed to complete the campaign by going through each mode. That was up until Borderlands 3. In Borderlands 3 and Wonderlands, Chaos levels and Mayhem levels served the purpose of making the game more difficult. Although in Borderlands 3 True Vault Hunter mode did change elemental resistances, but it didn't have anywhere near the effect on difficulty that Mayhem levels had. This signaled Gearbox's shift away from these modes, the need to replay the campaign over and over again. And considering Borderlands 4 gives you the option to replay missions individually, a big feature of these modes is made pointless. That's all to say that this screenshot points at a new activity named Ultimate Vault Hunter, rather than the mode we're used to. When you look at Borderlands 3's matchmaking screen, you have options for campaign, much like in the Borderlands 4 screenshot, but also proving grounds, takedowns, and of course arms race. Borderlands 4 arms race to win? Either way, I don't want to speculate too much, but imagine this Ultimate Vault Hunter activity could be to do with vault runs, where every vault in this massive world has a level that increases when you complete it, rewarding you with better loot but also a tougher challenge. Think Borderlands 2's Digistruct Peak but on a vault scale rather than a global scale, so a per vault basis. I think that could be pretty neat, and do let me know what you think Ultimate Vault Hunter could be in Borderlands 4. For going the speculations, there are a couple of endgame features that have been confirmed by Gearbox. One of those is Specializations. Credit to Mental Mars for screenshotting this from the IGN gameplay. Specializations is Borderlands 4's equivalent of a badass / guardian rank system. Like with many of the endgame features, we don't know much about this, but what we do know is that we are rewarded Specialization XP, which increases alongside our level, but at a slower rate. Each time our Specialization level increases, we get a point to spend, but this time around we don't just pick a category and get a stat bonus. Instead, it's decision centered and our choices matter. Whether this is tied to individual characters or not, I'm unsure, but it feels like this system is more aligned with your build than ever before, which is exciting to hear. Firmware is another endgame system which rolls on your non-weapon slot items. Think shields, enhancements, ordnance, etc. These provide bonuses of which again we are not sure yet, but what we do know is that you can get them in sets, where having 3 items with matching firmware will give you a massive increase in their power. What is also interesting about this is that you can swap them. On the map Legend, you'll notice an icon for Firmware Transfer Station, which will give us the ability to build matching sets, making our build that much better. They're probably most similar to anointments or enchantments in other Lands games, but they seem to complement builds much better. So that's all for this video. Do let me know in the comments what you think we'll see in Borderlands 4's endgame. It won't be long until we find out for sure, and I'll catch you in the next one.